Hello everyone and welcome back to the Shockers Orbit podcast. It's me, I'm back.
Yay!
Yes.
Could pass over the reins again.
And at some point you said like, Joel, come back. No, please come back. Or something. Well, you did really well hosting it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That's all right.
It was fun.
Yeah,
We missed
good
you,
job.
but it was fun.
Thank you. You're a very worthy substitute. I don't know if that's is that a compliment or what is it, a backhand? Yeah, it's a backhanded compliment.
Is it?
Yeah.
You did fine. I was thinking about Wayne's World. We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Oh, you know what? I haven't seen Wayne's World.
Oh, well, speaking of not seeing things, I just before we started recording told you that I'd watched your favourite movie of all time, Anchorman, and then I remembered that I actually didn't finish it. I've still got about 20 minutes to go. Does that mean? No.
Sometimes you have to have a break. And also, like I said to you, Anchorman doesn't finish very well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm now prepared.
You can tell that they start running out of ideas.
Okay.
And it happens to Anchorman 2. Anchorman 2 starts well.
Okay.
But apparently how Anchorman happened was Will Ferrell and his writing partner, who was a writer with him on Saturday Night Live, they just sometimes just get together for a few days and start throwing around crazy ideas.
Yeah, okay.
And I believe that's how Anchorman came out. But also, I don't know, have you seen Step Brothers?
No.
So Step Brothers has John C. Reilly in it as well.
Okay.
And that is a very funny movie.
Okay.
And apparently it just, part of the script writing process was, we're just going to go back and forward and make up crazy ideas for a long time. If you said, like you said, Anchorman was my favourite movie of all time.
Well.
I think it's definitely up there.
Okay, there we go.
What would you say is your favourite movie of all time though?
See, I think too much about this question, and then I start creating genres of like, well, favorite action movie or favorite comedy or that's probably my. I overthink it.
What are the ones jumping to mind? You can have a couple.
Okay, so if we go like the movies that the comfort rewatch movies, if that's
We are making categories here.
we're making category movies. So the ones that I will regularly go back to and just enjoy. I really like the first two Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're just so dumb. But action and I'll go back to those regularly. Right. The Alien franchise.
Okay.
Not big on number 3, but 1, 2, and 4. Can watch them.
But you're okay with 4. That's interesting.
4.
The more sequels you have, the worse it gets.
Yeah, 3 was a weird one. I don't really understand much about film craft and directors' names and stuff, but I think the director of that one kind of took it off in a weird direction. But 4 was, what's his name? Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon came in and did a lot to do with 4. I don't know if he's director or writer or anyway, he got a lot to do with that. So yeah, I don't mind that. And then the newest one, I can't remember what it was called. I mean, there are now so many that they're kind of forgettable, but I did watch the last one in the movies and it was excellent. Really liked it. It just kind of fit that dark alien world really well. Kind of had the right kind of scares at the right moments that you're expecting. There's something comforting about just watching it. You know what's going to happen and it's just still enjoyable. I just find that with the Alien.
So are we classifying Alien as like almost a horror film?
Yes, yeah, I guess so. Space horror.
I think this is why I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Actually, space rot?
Space horror.
Oh, space horror, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
It's just not my cup of tea, I think.
Yeah, I don't know why I watched it for the first time. It's not usually my kind of cup of tea, but I just really enjoyed them.
I don't really understand horror films.
Yeah.
But anything else on the Mount Rushmore of Tim Bealehart's
On the Mount Rushmore. I did show, I don't know if it's right there at my favourite, but I showed my daughter Young Frankenstein for the first time, which I just thought I found hilarious. She less so, but she did laugh at some of the right moments. So that was good. And I don't know, I'm sure there's others.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple that Ros and I go back to regularly. So we really like rewatching the Bourne Identity movies.
I do like the Bourne Identity.
Yep. I've said before in the podcast, she loves Fast and Furious. So we probably watched that collection of movies a dozen times. And again, there's just that familiarity of, it's an easy watch. Ros and I are always after the easy watch. We don't like thinking with movies. There's just, it's the really downtime for us.
Okay.
So there's a whole lot of movies, I think, movies like the TV shows, people are like, oh, you should watch this because it makes you think about such and such, or, oh, this documentary is amazing. And there's part of me that goes, yeah, that would be really curious, but that's not how I watch TV. I just watch TV to zone out.
See, I'm the opposite. That's how I watch TV.
Okay.
The way I relax is sport on
Right.
TV. If you're watching TV to relax.
Yep.
However, the thing about movies, I always think I put The Godfather up there.
Didn't finish it. I think I started
First one?
any of them.
Really?
Yeah. I may have got up to the horse head. I don't know if I was in the mood.
Oh, okay.
Again, it's one of those things that people go, oh, this is amazing cinema. You know, this is one of the top movies of all time. And there's part of me that likes being a connoisseur of good things that I go, oh, well, I should watch that then. And then I get to it and I go, oh, actually, I just want to watch The Simpsons again. Like, I think if it takes too much brain energy, I just go, yeah.
Yeah, I do like mob movies. And I think it's more because I always like the team and the strategy aspect to it.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else I like. I always love movies written by Aaron Sorkin.
Okay.
So The Social Network is really good. I do enjoy Bourne Identity films. The reason I think I like Bourne Identity is it's more realistic than it.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of changed the action game a little bit, the Bourne movies, because they actually tried to make the violence more realistic.
Yeah, and the filming apparently, again, I'm not much of a film connoisseur, but the way I understand the actual photography of the scenes was very sort of high impact. I don't know how you do that with the film, but it was close, lots of close-ups, lots of quick cuts, and that kind of revolutionised a whole lot of action stuff as well.
Yeah, I think I like action movies a lot of the time. Die Hard is a good one. Still couldn't even get through 20 minutes of that on a Christmas Eve with my wife. You know how is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Right, yeah. I've only seen it once. I saw it on a plane not that long ago.
Okay, I've seen it a couple of times. And she's like, why is this a Christmas movie? I'm like, come on, you've got to watch the thing.
Set at Christmas, yeah.
And she always wants to watch The Grinch.
Oh, right.
I'm like, no, I want to watch
Actually, that's my other comfort series is Lethal Weapon. So Lethal Weapon is also a Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah.
So that is, when people talk about Christmas movies, I go, Lethal Weapon is mine.
I don't watch that many movies though. Partly because of the thing of I don't need to be engaged to watch it, and so that means this is a larger time investment in a movie rather than a show or anything. And I mean, the only thing I've watched on TV in the last 3 weeks has been the cricket. That's it. I've barely watched anything else. But yes, it's interesting how TV watching habits is determined differently by what you want to do, which is why I like. What's the other one that Sorkin's written? Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise, and it's the You Can't Handle the Truth.
Was that a Sorkin?
Yes.
Was it something Gentleman? No.
Why can't I think of it?
Yeah, me neither.
I'll come back to it when I can.
You can shout at us in the comments below.
Yes, definitely.
A Few Good Men?
Few Good Men, that's exactly what it is. Originally a play, and I think Sorkin adapted it for a movie, I think. I'd have to check that. But it's the same with books, too, for me, is especially fiction books.
Okay.
Because with non-fiction books, I know I know what this is about and I want to invest the time to read it.
Okay.
But with fiction books, you don't really know that until you read fiction books.
Interesting.
And this is why I've just started reading a narrative non-fiction book called Tunnel 29. I'm only like 5 chapters in, but you're going to be interested in this one because it's based on an interview a journalist has done, but she's written as a narrative non-fiction of someone who tunneled under the Berlin Wall from east to west.
Yeah. Okay.
And apparently has some. We've mentioned Ryan Holiday so many times. It's on one of his recommended reading. Okay. And I'm really getting into it. Like I said, there's short chapters. So I'm at chapter 5, but I'm like, I want to keep reading this.
There was a similar one that I really enjoyed. Again, that narrative non-fiction. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's about the only person who ever escaped from Auschwitz. And his story. But yeah, I love that as well.
Yeah, they're fun because I think there's maybe, again, similar to the Bourne movies, there's an element of realism to it, which is why I think I wouldn't like the Alien films as well.
Okay.
This has never happened.
This is right.
Often I'll watch a film or a movie or something and I'm like, why is that happening?
Yeah, okay.
This wouldn't happen. It's not realistic enough.
Yeah, okay. Whereas this is not an original I thought to me, but in the horror genre, there are the you've kind of got the slasher type ones.
Yep.
Yeah, Scream, and I know you did last summer with kind of the classics from my adolescence.
Freddy vs. Jason was the only one I think I ever saw at the movies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's that. I think I never picked those ones up because they had started earlier than me. So for me, they were kind of like they were old movies.
Yeah, and you were really cool.
Well, it was just I just didn't get into, it felt like vintage. It's just, but so then you've got horror movies where they are unrealistic, as in it's dealing with aliens or those kind of things. So the thought is, I've heard people say they appreciate the ones that are unrealistic because they won't actually happen. Whereas someone walking up to you with a knife is something that generally happens. And so they don't like the realistic ones because actually this could happen in real life. And it does happen in real life. Like maybe not to the extent of this, a full slasher movie, but murder does happen. Like this is really, whereas of course, Cloverfield is not going to happen. That's another great movie. There is no alien to come down and decapitate the Statue of Liberty. But drawing into that narrative is therefore a little bit more escapist.
I should issue a correction to myself. A Few Good Men was originally written by Aaron Sorkin as a play for Broadway. Then it got turned into a movie.
There you go.
Yeah. So I would really like to see it as a play.
Thank you, Aaron Sorkin.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you. Today we are going to talk about, you talked about this actually in a sermon a couple of weeks ago, but it's in relation to a lot of things, even what we're talking about. Like sometimes I'm like, no, I need to efficiently know whether I can actually read this book or not sometimes. And we're going to talk about efficiency is not a Christian value or a Christian trait, and God is not a God of efficiency either.
Yeah.
In terms of, especially in our relationship and things like that. But also you've been doing a lot of reading about a digital presence, AI, things like that. Something that we talk about a lot on this podcast, just because we're, you and me, we're at the forefront of technological change.
We're in the middle of the shock absorber. So there's the flexibility of the youth that's coming through, and there's the maturity of those who are older us, and we're just getting squished in the middle. So that's
constantly.
It's constantly being squashed in the middle.
Constantly being squashed down. But can I ask you though, you've been reading a lot about it in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Why has something like AI and technology and how we interact with it, why is that front of mind for you at the moment?
Yeah, it's probably circular, as in I'm reading a lot of stuff, therefore it's front of mind, and therefore it's front of mind. I keep searching out more things to read about this. And I think the theological strategy practice, the theological thoughts that I'm trying to wrestle with is this idea of incarnation. So the necessary embodiment of people, that God has created us in an incarnate world. It's physical. It has physicality. We are physical beings. Some of it comes, I'm always curious about things, about new creation. And so long time, particularly even in kids ministry, try to talk about new creation rather than heaven, because I think we get confused when we talk about heaven.
Interesting.
And I overemphasize new creation because I want to overemphasize the physicality of this world and of the world to come, and the continuity between those two things. So that's kind of been on my mind a bit. I've been working with the YouthWorks ministry support team about next year's Square One is going to be on new creation. So we've been chatting about that a bit. So that's kind of on my mind. And where this intersects with sort of digital space, again, none of these are particularly new thoughts, but I'm just pulling from all these different people who are talking about how do we as embodied people interact with a digital space.
Well, we're not incarnate there, right?
Well, no, we're not.
Yeah.
No. And so we have these technologies that are telling us and that life is better when you're on these technologies. Right? Okay, so these are the technological advances. This is the technological revolution. You go the Industrial Revolution, but even before then, the invention of the wheel. This will make your life better because you've got a wheel, or fire, or stone. Someone, was it on this podcast? I can't even remember now. I heard all these ideas, but the fascinating idea of technology and architecture, and why you can trace particular pillars across cathedrals. And so you move from stone blocks to when they worked out where you could put a pillar and weight bear on a pillar rather than having to weight bear on the whole wall. And so that opens up a whole lot of things. And then they worked out this particular arch. It's like, well, if you do that, we can go higher and wider. And so all of these technologies push us forward. And that's a good thing. I think that's part of the cultural mandate from Genesis, that we are to be inventing and creating and continuing to bring creation under our dominion and control. I think all of that is good stuff. But because we live in a fallen world, therefore, often the technologies can either be used badly or we can pursue something to the wrong end. So like nuclear fusion might produce an energy source that might be relatively green, though of course the nuclear waste is always an issue, but there could be some sort of energy efficiency if we could harness nuclear energy really well. But we can also create the nuclear bomb and kill tens of thousands of people in an instant. Yeah. And so because we live in a fallen world and fallen people are the ones using technology, there's always this both end of moving forward with technology can be good, but it can also be used for badly, intentionally, unintentionally, accidentally, but there's always a fallenness there. If you go to the Augustine idea, there's the city of God and the city of man. We currently live in both. And so we can kind of see both going on, and that's okay. So, the current conversation, obviously, in 2025 is, for about 20 or 15 years, we've been talking about screens. So the way that the iPhone just revolutionized the way that we live, consume media, engage with the world. There's a whole lot of tech critics who talk about the movement of how that changed our relationship to work, because now our work can go with us wherever we are. Yeah. And so that changed our relationship with work. And again, positives to that, negatives to that. The overbearingness of work, that it's something that never leaves me, that's a negative. I don't stand up, leave the office, catch the train home, and there's nothing I can do until 9 a.m. the next morning. Firstly, the laptop changed that, or the home computer, where I could get onto the internet and I could keep doing emails. Now I can do emails the entire train trip home, or when I should be watching my kids' soccer practice, or so it becomes all consuming. And of course, more recently, the AI conversation is, of course, massive in the last 2 or 3 years, since ChatGPT kind of brought AI into the consumer mind, and we can all now natively use these apps. All of that is going on, and I'm reading all this stuff. People really enthusiastic about these changes, people quite critical. And the theological part of me goes, okay, well, what's this doing to our incarnate, worldly, fleshly presence? Trying to work all of these that's the theological framework I'm trying to bring as I read these things. And so I found both secular and Christian writers really helpful. Here's a number of Substacks that have been really, really good on this. That's been and that, again, positive technology. I've discovered Substack. How cool is it? There's all these amazing writers writing amazing articles and then sharing each other's articles. This is great. It's a wealth of resources. But it's also, with me all the time, it can distract me from the things I should actually be doing. There is more content there that I can consume, and that frustrates me. So there's all sorts of negative output of this as well. But 2 books that I've read really recently, a secular one called The Extinction of Experience by Christine Rosen. That has been really, really helpful. So she's secular, as far as I know. It's not written as a Christian book. But it's kind of a journalist type approach. So she's not necessarily bringing any new thoughts, but she's pulling together thoughts from all sorts of things and across a whole variety of disciplines, areas of life. And the big thesis is we are losing incarnate, embodied experiences and translating them to digital experiences. And we are losing something of ourselves as humans in doing so. Now, as a Christian, you can say, well, what is that? What are we losing? We're losing the God-givenness of our bodies, of the embodiment that we have. And so she doesn't notice that as not a Christian, but you can read it as a Christian, go, this is what she's noticing. So things from the lack of ability to write by hand, like handwriting is just, they don't teach it in school. It's not important. You can type now. Why bother handwriting? And is that consequential or not? It's hard to know, but have we lost something in the process? Yeah, we kind of probably have. We've probably lost, and again, we've lost something embodied about that. The fact that we're using our physical bodies. And so the movement from handwritten to typing, that was one shift, typing to swiping, and now swiping to, I don't even need to use my hands at all. I can just speak. Hey Siri, blah, 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 do this. Make sure my phone. Sorry, Siri. Go away.
It's just heard you. That's funny.
Thanks, Siri.
Even similar with the Apple goggles and things like that too.
Yeah, so then you get these, the Google glasses and the Apple goggles and all these kinds of things. And we start to create an entire world that is dominated by the digital and prioritizes the non-incarnate, non-embodied, non-physical to the detriment of the physical. So they're the kinds of stuff that I've been reading. Oh, sorry. So that was the first book. The second book, and I'm probably 2/3 of the way through, is Digital Liturgies by, sorry, I've got it here, Samuel D. James. So I think I may have seen the book, but I've been reading his Substack and have only recently bought the book and have been really enjoying that as well. And again, he is a Christian, so he's writing from a Christian point of view. What is this doing to us? So he's dealing with sort of tech criticism stuff, a little bit about the embodied stuff that hasn't been a high priority for him. But the key thing is, what is it doing to us spiritually and as disciples to be shaped by the online world? And he's picking up an idea that comes from another Christian writer, James K.A. Smith, who has written a number of really excellent books. The most accessible one is called You Are What You Love, though there's another more in-depth one called Desiring the Kingdom. But this idea that everything we do regularly becomes a liturgy. So whether it's going to the shop or logging online or swiping on your phone or like everything, he talks about the liturgy of everything, essentially. And so if we have these digital liturgies, these things that we do regularly, and it's all disincarnate, disembodied, all through the screen, what is that actually doing in our formation? How is it shaping us? And so that's another piece of sort of tech criticism that I've been enjoying recently. So I've been talking a lot. So there's just kind of like, they're all the threads that I'm kind of pulling together at the moment. And probably, the other theological thread to put in here, and then you can kind of respond and share your thoughts, is Christologically, Christ's incarnation and resurrection into a resurrected body, I think speaks highly of the importance of our embodied state. So in terms of a Christian theology of the body, and the importance of physicality, I think Jesus' incarnation and his resurrection both really speak really powerfully to the importance of our fleshly selves. Our fleshly selves are not something we ought to escape, like some Greek philosophy or some Eastern philosophies where the idea is to escape your body and escape the physical world. Whether that going to some sort of spiritualized heaven or whether to be reincarnated into nirvana or whatever it might be, the Christian worldview has a really high, honoured place of the embodied physical person and personhood. And so, as this overwhelming technological, digital, disincarnate world that we continue to step further and further into, I think they're the worries that I have. Anyway, that's all the kind of background. We can talk about practice soon, but what do you reckon?
Well, it's just really interesting. Well, we talk about practice. I thought there's two personal stories that I thought of. A couple of weeks ago, I think I was just at home with the kids. I think my wife was out somewhere. Maybe she was at work. I can't remember what it was. And I just realised something that happens when I'm at home sometimes is I have little moments to myself, but nowhere where I could sit down and like read a book, for example. Okay. And then so as a result, I pull out my phone, start looking on Twitter a lot of the time. And then one weekend, as I was saying, I just realised, the heck am I doing? I'm like sitting there with my kids. I think we were about to play a board game or something. And I was like still looking at my phone while they were getting something or setting it. And I just said, I think it was to my middle daughter, I said, Evelyn, can you just take my phone away? and can you just go and put it on the charger? He's like, oh, why? Is it out of battery? I said, no. I'm sick of pulling my phone out and I don't want it to disturb what we're doing.
Yep.
Can you just go and put it on the charger? He's like, yeah, sure. So she did that. So that's just a personal thing of like any moment that I'm bored, or really I think it's sometimes just a thirst for, oh, what's something that's interests me right now. I want to do that in reading a book, but I don't have the space to do that at that time. So I'll try and get it in a more technological way / non-embodied.
Well, also bite size.
Yes,
because that's the other thing that Twitter does. So, and again, like you feel this, you're like, well, I mean, I live on the 9th floor of an apartment, and so even just going downstairs to the shops that are underneath us, there's a 20-second lift ride down to ground floor, and so would you take a book for those 20 seconds?
Probably not.
Probably not. Can you read a couple of Facebook updates in that 20 seconds? Of course you can. Can I probably not read a Substack article, but at least kind of see what new ones have been launched and add them to my saved pile?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there is, and I guess this is where the digital world meets the efficient world, is this idea of, well, there's a number of cultural values I think that are coming into play here. Firstly, there's a productivity value. So we feel that every moment has to be productive. So this is the other thing that I've read in some of these tech criticism stuff is the importance of boredom and the importance of non-useful time. So a lack of efficiency can actually be a good thing. The lack of productivity, that's that point. The lack of productivity can be a good thing. And also the efficiency piece. Like I need to make the most efficient use of this time. So, and this is kind of, and I said in my sermon, you've already mentioned that I don't think God is an efficient God, which sounds really strange to us because we're so shaped by efficiency. It almost sounds blasphemous, and I feel a little bit awkward. I'm like, oh, actually, do I want to commit to that phrase? I'm not quite like even I'm not sure if I want to commit to that phrase. But it's because we're so shaped in our culture by efficiency. And again, it's the Industrial Revolution, and it's the scientific revolution and all the things that has pushed forward that we feel that we need to be efficient. And that's a cultural value. I'm not convinced is a Christian value. And in fact, I actually think that if God is not efficient and we are being made into his likeness, then actually it is good for our soul and it is good for our discipline and it's good for our discipleship to also step into moments of inefficiency, which is, and again, we talk about Cal Newport all the time, but one of the things I really liked about Slow Productivity, his most recent book, was again, just this recognition that there can be times of inefficiency in your life, and that's actually good for you. So one of the things he does, and I've heard others do as well, is to go back beyond the Industrial Revolution to an agricultural metaphors. And there is a lot of really working hard when you're in agriculture.
Definitely. Physical labour. Right?
Physical labour. Planting season is really hard work. You got to plough, you got to sow, you got to plant. But then you can't do anything. Then you just kind of stop. Because once you've planted, your job's kind of done. You got to, water, test the soil, all these kinds of bits and pieces. But there's a lot of just not doing much. And then you get to harvest time.
Allowing it to grow.
Because you're allowing it to grow. Actually, growth comes through your lack of involvement.
Oh, wow. There's a bit of a link.
Well, I mean, I don't know where I want to go with that metaphor. I'm not sure. But then it comes to harvest time. And that is back-breaking work. Like long days, hard days, really. And then, I mean, depending on the crop, you kind of end up in a bit of a fallow season. You end up in, for a lot of crops, winter, where things are just dormant and you don't do much. And so you're not being efficient. Now, the way the factory changed that was if you've got an enclosed factory and you can get machinery and the movable working line, all the things, Henry Ford instigated a lot of this kind of stuff. If you've got the right number of people and the right machinery and enough resources in electricity and plumbing and all the other things you need, there's no reason for that factory to ever shut down. So firstly, you can run every single day of the week. And actually, why stop at night time? Let's just get a new shift of people in.
And you can know a business that does that. There's a sign printing business that's out in the west of Sydney.
Yeah, right.
And I thought they only ran during the day. But I turned up and picked up something from there at 8 o'clock at night once.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, yeah, this shift is just, overnight shifts have just started.
Yeah. And why not? It's efficient. You can get a lot more done, right? Why go into these old school values of rest and work when actually you can just get more done? So, it's and again, there's combinations of industrialization, of capitalism, of all these kind of values that we just take for granted. Because if I can be more efficient, therefore I can make more money. So like they're all intertwined. But we just grow up assuming that's normal. So we think our church services need to be efficient. We think our discipleship needs to be efficient. My Bible reading needs to be efficient. I need to get a lot out of this time. Otherwise I'm not being productive with my time. And so that is kind of playing in the background as well. It's another kind of thread that I've been trying to pull on, is thinking about how does that play into our discipleship? And if God is an inefficient God, I mean, how long did it take him to bring Jesus into the world? From like the promise to Abraham that one day his seed would bless the whole world, it's about 1,800 years, I think the scholars reckon, between Abraham and Jesus. Super inefficient. Like,
you could have just done it bang, bang, bang.
Why didn't God just do it simply and quickly? Why does he? This is not an original thought. I think I heard Graham Stanton say it once. But you get these efficient books from, you go to the Koorong, and you buy a book that tells you about all the laws and all the summarizes.
Oh, from the Old Testament.
From the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. Like, here's all the laws from the Old Testament. Or here's all the words of Jesus that tell us what to do. Or here's all the stuff that Paul tells us to do in the epistles. And Graham Stanton joked, oh, thank goodness for, Zondervan or whoever it is for making the Bible more efficient for me and for simplifying it. Because otherwise I would have had to read that whole story and, oh my goodness, what a drag. Tongue in cheek. But again, it just points out, God chose not to give us a dot point list and an academic summary of the Bible. He gave us the Bible, which is slow. And some of it is really boring and parts of it are inefficient for our discipleship. And again, it's just that hint that, maybe efficiency is not the point. Maybe slowness is part of what it means to be a disciple. Maybe Eugene Peterson talks about the long obedience in the same direction, that it's just this slow method, like plodding away day by day, hour by hour, month by month, year by year, decade by decade. We're just slowly following Jesus. And there's a lot of inefficiency there, and maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's how we're actually designed by God, in this embodied, inefficient body that we need to sleep for a third of our life. That is really inefficient. Why couldn't have God made us more efficient and only needed 2 hours sleep or 1 hour sleep but again, God has made us incarnate, embodied with this fleshly body, which in Jesus we see in its perfection. Jesus also needed to sleep for a third of his life. I don't know what new creation is going to be like. I don't know if we're going to need the same kind of sleep or rest. I'm not sure. But in the way that God has very good created us right now, there's a slowness and an embodiedness. And so, there's some of the thoughts I'm trying to draw together.
Yeah, here's another personal story, I think, that relates to what you're saying. So I've recently changed the structure of how I have my day. Basically, I'm going to bed early, getting up earlier. Now, that doesn't sound that classic, but what I found I was doing was I was usually doing some work at night, staying up too late, and then trying to get up early as well.
Yep.
Because I am an early person. But instead now what I've done is that if it's 9:30, no screens, which is, I'm not a trailblazer in doing that, but that's been recommended by a number of people before. But 9:30, but that means I'll try and read for about half an hour before I go to bed.
Yep.
And so, as I said, I'm reading Tom Holland's Dominion, and I've got through a huge, 3/4 of that, in the space of a few weeks.
Yeah, great.
Now, daylight saving has helped with that, but I get up at 5 a.m. Between 5 and 5:15, 5:20 every day now.
Yep.
And that's where I have my quiet time, and I do some work. And it actually works really well because usually I get a bit done before my youngest gets up around 6 o'clock. But what I've found is also doing that has mitigated against the other thing I was saying, was looking at my phone all the time. I don't know how that's worked. I charge my phone outside my room, but there's something of that. There's more of a yearning to just find that time to read my book.
Okay.
Rather than finding those bite-sized pieces. Like, there's less of that happening. And as a result, we're talking about efficiency, I feel like I'm getting more done, even though I'm not. So it's funny enough, I'm fulfilling this perhaps need to feel more efficient by doing less.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like the shortened Old Testament stories. There's also these book summary apps like Shortform and Blinkist, which, I don't know, I've heard it advertised on a podcast and things like that. But then I'm like, but why would I want to do that? That feels like the author has put in a huge amount of work to make a book.
Yeah.
Write a book. And then I'm just going to go, well, I just need a short version of that and I can consume it. Like, it's this inefficiency for the sake of it doesn't actually seem to fulfill what the point of even being efficient is. Like, there's things that you can do efficiently that help people.
Yeah.
But that's just that, we've talked about so much about individualism. That's just being, I just need to be more efficient for myself to be more knowledgeable, to be like, I feel like it's similar to that non-incarnation, non-embodiment of the digital world, is that you're being tricked almost, that it is going to be efficient, it is going to be better for you. But really, and I think what I'm hearing you saying is, it's actually not more beneficial. Reading a book is beneficial, but reading the short version of a book is sold as being efficient, but in reality, it might actually end up being inefficient.
Well, it's efficient and it's productive, because if it takes me 15 minutes to read the summary or 7 hours to read the book, I can get through a lot more books.
Yeah.
And so I can get the key ideas of many, many more books if I spent the same amount reading a summary than as I did reading the actual book. So again, there's this trick here of what is productive, and productivity is more. So productivity is always trying to get more. Produce more or consume more or whatever it is. I mean, it's the same reason people triple screen. Like, you're watching a movie, but you're also on your phone and you've got your laptop open as well, and you're trying to do three things, and you can't actually do any of them well. No. And I think, going back to our earlier conversation, I think this is why I struggle with some classic movies, is because I've been so shaped by the immediacy of digital world and fast-paced social media that it's actually really hard to watch The Godfather because there are really slow moments. Like it's an old movie with old movie pace. It
is. It is.
And so that could be hard. And I want to go, I reach for my phone, or I go, oh, who's that actor again? I'll just search it up, and then I'm kind of watching, and I'm also, down some rabbit trail on IMDb of, he was in that. Oh, who else was in that? Oh, she was that. Oh, that was that person. Oh, what movie were they in? And
I should switch to that movie.
Yeah. So there's all of that. But again, I think there's what does it mean to, so you've got this trick of productivity. We've got the trick of efficiency, and maybe layered on top of this as well is the choice factor and the belief that I need to have the most number of experiences as possible, which actually gives us a surface level understanding of lots of things rather than a deep level of some things.
Right.
So the extreme version of this is the Olympian, right? So if you want to become excellent at a sport, you have to say no to most things. And you have to say no to most things that your peers are doing. You imagine being one of these up-and-coming, Australian Institute of Sport. You get picked at 16 to be a runner or a javelin thrower or something, swimmer. And the rest of your cohort, all other 16-year-olds, are immersed in this vanilla, surface level. They watch a lot of TikTok. They know a lot about memes. They're having a lot of parties maybe. They're doing a lot of things. They're playing a lot of video games. They're having all these experiences. And the choice is that or to say no to nearly all of that and be able to go deep and become Australia's best javelin thrower. But the cost of depth is saying no to most other things. And so this is part of it as well, is if I'm going to commit to reading this book, rather than just the summary, I know that there are probably 10 other books that I'm not going to be able to read. Or if I choose to read instead of Twitter at night for that last half hour before I turn the lights off, then there is going to be potentially thousands of conversations that I'm not privy to, and thousands of bits of data that I have not consumed because I've chosen to go for this book instead. And I think that what the theology of embodiment and incarnation, plus challenging this cultural values of productivity and efficiency gives us, is that actually maybe it is better for us humanly speaking, and this is why some of the secular voices are really helpful, but also Christianly discipling, that it is better to go slow on some things to get depth on some things, and to say no to a lot of experiences. And that's okay. It's just very, very hard in the West in 2020s because all of our cultural values are pushing us to the maximum number of experiences, the maximum efficiency, the maximum productivity. And I think I'm increasingly convinced that the Christian discipleship does not have those values, and that it is shaped by other values which are particularly countercultural in our moment.
So then that's why I would say there is the appeal of AI, especially with, as you said, ChatGPT becoming a consumer model. And then I think you probably remember where it was like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, every tech company was doing AI. Like that was the new selling point. Like I remember Canva, the graphic design.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got AI now. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Notion has AI.
Yeah, Notion.
Copilot with all your Microsoft stuff.
Yeah, so you've locked in the Microsoft corporate cabal. you have to use Copilot, and it is sold like you can get it all done now. And I would say the perspective that I'm coming to now, when I was, first of all, oh my gosh, like it's the Terminator kind of thing. We're going to be taken over. That has moved on now to what I see the consumer side of AI, which is each different AI company originally sold it to, this is the only one you'll need. But as I've started using different AIs, I'm like, oh, this one is better at this. This one is better at doing this.
Right, yeah.
I find Claude, for example, extremely good at writing, or from what I've found. The one I like using at the moment is Grok. Very good for personal stuff. So one of the reason I missed last episode was because I was having a minor surgery.
Yep.
And I had my gallbladder removed because I had a gallstone, etc. We'll move on from that. It's not super pleasant. But what I found with Grok is I just ask it a couple of times, should I eat this yet? Should I eat this yet? Or maybe that's just because I'm an anxious person sometimes. And I was like, what's that? And it says, you're doing fine. But it doesn't, compared to ChatGPT, it tells you like, everything's fine.
Right.
Grok is like, well, you're probably just feeling this. Here's the 3 things it could be. It's most likely this. Move on.
Yeah.
It's quite personal.
Okay.
Which is, you've got to be careful of that too, because there's stories of people thinking that AI tells you're a genius and then they are convinced and then...
Well, that's what I found with, even with Claude, when I was asking her questions, it's like, wow, that's a great idea. And I was trying to do some, I was trying to find a hole in research that I could dig into. Like, who's talking about this? Oh, no one. That's an original idea, Tim. We're all fantastic. I'm like, shut up. Like, just tell me who's writing on this. It's like, oh, okay, here we go. Here's some people. Yeah, great.
Right.
Thank you. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, and so like I just see things as tools now with AI. This is good at this. And like I'm not an AI expert. There's so many AI tools. Yeah. You're in this moment of AI. Take advantage of AI tools. Like all these tools, you've just put AI on it. These tools existed before this consumer version of AI. Yeah. But what I was interested is that you sent me a little quote called from the Extinction of Experience book that you were talking about. And it was related to AI, but it was also this kind of non-embodied world of the digital world, was reality privilege, which was coined by Mark Andreessen, who is he's kind of like earlier Silicon Valley, wasn't he? He created an Andreessen Ventures, something else. He has another startup incubator that has brought a number of huge tech companies to bear. What is reality privilege? Like, what does he mean by that? And like, give us your take on it, given that this is what we're talking about and how it looks like from a Christian perspective.
Yeah. So what he is criticised, he's trying to champion this kind of Google glasses, Apple goggles,
Apple Vision Pro.
Apple Vision Pro, that's it. The ski goggles, the ski mask. He's trying to champion these kind of things again because he's a tech entrepreneur. Like, this is his space. And when he hears this pushback of, yeah, but hold on, we're losing the real world, we're losing the incarnate embodied experience. His comeback to that is, you're just assuming that people's incarnate experience is better than what we can give them digitally. And he says that might be true for some people, but to assume that that's true for most people is reality privilege. It's kind of this idea, sort of like, you know, white privilege or male privilege or Western privilege, or, you know, you have reality privilege. If you think that the real world is better than what we can provide in the digital, that's because you're one of the privileged few that can actually look at the world and say, oh yeah, but that's because my experience is better than what you're doing. But for most people, it's not. Actually, for most people, what we're going to be able to give them is a better experience in real life. Now, Christine Rosen quotes this not in an affirmative way. He just kind of bounces off this. But, you know, he talks about this, I mean, for those who have seen or read the Ready Player One, this idea that you don't want to emerge from the digital world because actually it's
the Matrix too.
And so the Matrix, is the same. And, you know, you've got, was it Cypher? Is he the kind of the villain character in... I can't remember now. But the one who wants to go back into the Matrix, and so sells. Neo. No. Like the guy on the team that is working with the agents to entrap Neo.
Oh, that's right. I forget his name.
Yeah, because he wants to go back in. He's just like, actually, the fake world that I was experiencing is better than this real world. And so Mark Andreessen, is that right? Yep. Is kind of that kind of character. It's like, you know, no, like this world for a lot of people is terrible. The best thing we can do for them is to give them a digital disincarnate experience that will actually lift their psychology, their psyche up and give them a better experience than they can possibly have in the real world. Which, like, there's a number of problems here. So firstly, again, theologically, if we are embodied people, if this is if our physicality is God-given, that's a better way of saying it. If our physicality is God-given, then this is the way that we ought to live. And this is the best possible experience, is one that is physical and incarnate and embodied. And so the things that take us away from that are dehumanizing. And this is a great part about the Extinction of Experience, even though it's not Christian, is this: we are losing humanness in our lack of physicality and our lack of physical experiences. And so to celebrate that is, I was going to say demonic. I don't know if I want to go that far, but you know, it's kind of, it's edging on an anti-Christian worldview, that the digital world is going to be better than our world. And yes, it might feel like we're a long way away from Ready Player One, but actually maybe we're not.
It's very startup-y tech, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I know what's right for the world.
Well, that as well. Yeah.
And it actually makes me think of, just when you said that, talking about reality privilege. First of all, that's like, the internet has democratized so much stuff. People in countries that are not well off as ours have mobile phones and can access the internet and things like that. But there's also this element of, now, I've heard someone comment on it, of, especially in the UK, of delivery drivers, and that delivery drivers are basically a version of a new lower class. So because a lot of delivery drivers, you know, for Uber Eats and that Deliveroo is a big one over there in the UK, that because we now get people to deliver food to us, but because we can afford it, that we've now created a new class of people. And because a lot of the delivery drivers are immigrants as well. So we're just, to maintain our lives at a level that we want it to be, we'll just import more people to do. And they relate it back to, you know, how the Egyptians used a lot of slaves to build the pyramids and things like that. I don't know if it's that level of it, but there's links to that, and it's similar to what Andreessen's saying, is that, I'll create a better class for you. But then I also think about how Jonathan Haidt talks about all the tech bros send their children to screen-free schools.
Yeah.
So it's creating this separate class of people in this, which I don't think is like something that we're for. But that's where I see that line of thinking going, is that we'll create something better for you, really, so we can just sedate the masses and then live our lives free.
And the fact that they don't entrust their own children with the technology they're creating. I mean, that's a massive, what's the word? I mean, it's hypocritical. It's hypocritical, and it's cynical. Like, it's just this, we've got the best product for you and your child, and there is no way in hell that I would let my child access it. Like, that is such a cynical selling point. Like, it's awful. Yeah. But it just shows that, you know, what their values are. Clearly their value is not actually bettering society. I mean, there's corporate finances, etc.
How power and money is.
Yeah. But there was, just talking about the democratization of the internet, there was this story from, this article is 2024, but about a remote Amazon tribe that got given smartphones.
Okay.
And it didn't take long for them to all be wasting time on TikTok and addicted to pornography. And it was this idea that, like, yes, there's this democratization. Like, anyone in the world with an internet connection and a phone can access Harvard University degrees. Like, I don't know what happened to iTunes University. I think that kind of folded. But there was this idea, like, you can access the world's top scholars. You know, Google Books is democratizing some of the world's richest books and learning from, you know, cultures across the globe and from civilizations, you know, everywhere. There's a possibility here, and this is the creational good of these things. And yet, where do our natural fallen instincts go? We watch TikTok.
We get addicted to pornography.
We get addicted to pornography rather than actually reading the great books of world literature.
Which is possible.
It is possible. Both are possible, and which ones do our selves naturally gravitate to? It's the undisciplined, it's the things that are immediate gratification, rather than the things that are actually work harder to do. The other thing that, this is a idea my friend Hunter Williams has introduced me to, the idea between 2D and 3D. His context was he was talking about meetings, so there's 2D communication, there's 3D communication. 2D communication, you can just send people an email or a text or something. It's just often communication. But if it's a deep topic, you need a 3D communication. You actually need in-person conversation, which I quite like, that idea. But if we adapt that to this digital technology, it's the same kind of thing, that we can have, there are 2D skills and there are 3D skills. And there are things that should be 3D skills, as in embodied, incarnate, physical labour, that we are offsetting to 2D skills. And it's not always clear which ones they are. It's not always clear what they should be. But I think what we're noticing is we're doing too much of the 3D world in the 2D, and we're noticing the detriment of that. So just like we have too many important conversations through text message or instant messenger, or even on Zoom, which is slightly better but not by much, to an incarnate conversation. And there are just some conversations, actually there's a lot of conversations that are too important to have over text message and over chat.
Because they can just be misinterpreted.
They can be
misinterpreted.
and just you need to be in the room at the same time. Yep. You know?
And that's why you get Zoom fatigue too, because your body is trying, I think,
to
3D it, because it can see the person.
Yep.
But you still can't pick up. I remember even when we were doing church stuff over Zoom, I was just like, I feel drained, but for no reason.
Yep.
Because I think my brain and my eyes were trying to pick up the cues that we're used to, like we're doing right now, sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
Was trying to do that online, but
Yes.
it couldn't figure. It's almost like my brain and body couldn't figure it out.
No, and you can't. And there's the whole lot of things that are imperceptible to us in terms of, you know, our hormone responses and all sorts of other things that are we at a level well below our consciousness are picking up from each other that just, you know, technology cannot do. And so again, this is the kind of thing. So, you know, should I ask ChatGPT for a summary of this book that I'm interested in, or should I sit and actually read the book? One's a 2D experience, one's a 3D experience. There's more to it than that, but there's one of those things that actually the 3D experience is going to be richer, more full, more human. You know, should I get Claude to write my essay that's due this week for me, or should I actually work through the hard sweat and slog of actually writing it myself with my own thoughts and my own words, either on a computer or even with handwritten? And again, what's the output? Well, if the output is the grade, well then actually, yeah, for many students, Claude is actually going to do a better job than they are and probably going to get a grade as long as you don't get picked up by the detection software, right? What's going to make a better human? What's going to make a better human is the incarnate experience of working through the hard thing.
Reading sources,
digesting it yourself, being able to mash up sources in your brain that comes up with an original thought or some sort of combination of, well, they said that and they said that and I think this.
Write 14 bad drafts. That's
right. And so what is more human? And so I think this is what we're heading towards, is what is actually going to help us to be more human. And as we think about what it means to be Christians, what's going to help us to be more in line with who God has created us to be, both human and disciple. So you've got both those parts of us. And there is a necessary slowness, there's a necessary lack of efficiency sometimes that we need to lean into and be okay with. So there you go. There's my thoughts on.
So before we get to your takeaway then, what is our response? How do we think about that and live that out when I think we are assaulted to a large degree by messaging that this is more efficient? Whereas if you did sit on TikTok and Instagram, it's not efficient. I'm fascinated by this trick of you are being efficient, but it actually is inefficient. And I think there's plenty to think about that in terms of being a Christian. We've talked about spending more time together is actually, on the face value, it's inefficient. But on actual experience, it can be extremely efficient in the term or the idea of you get to know someone better. You get to know what someone's going through. You get to feel more embodied by actually doing. There's like this flip, isn't it? Of like what's inefficient is actually efficient or more productive in a sense.
Well, it depends on your metric again.
Right.
So that's the key thing. And so what you're noticing is that I actually feel better.
Yes.
Knowing this person deeper because I've spent an inordinate amount of time with them. But that is very different again, it's the metric. When we come to church, what is it for? And if it's to get my spiritual fill for the week and then to go on for the rest of my life, then having to drive 15, 20 minutes to get there and then have to make awkward small talk and then have to get through those songs, which I don't find edifying. I just want to get to the sermon. And then I've got to have an awkward cup of coffee afterwards and have a few service level conversations before I can get back into my car and drive home for 15 minutes and get on with the rest of my weekend. That hour and a half was not a very efficient way of getting a spiritual jab of good preaching. And again, if we think that's what church is there for me to get my spiritual jab for the weekend, my feel of a good preaching, or maybe you are someone who gets some value out of the singing. And so you get there and like that's fueling for you. It's shaping you as a Christian. But it's then surrounded by these things. Like, I mean, come on, get on with the announcements. I mean, the
I'm
community
not going to them anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to them anyway. What do I care? So, and if that is your metric, then again, actually listening to a Spotify playlist and a sermon podcast is a much more efficient way of getting that same. I can sing along with, particularly if I get one of these recordings where it's kind of, it feels congregational, it feels like there's a lot of people in the room, I can feel like I'm being immersive.
I can sing it in the car more
I can
often.
sing it in the car, I can listen to the sermon while I'm doing other things, or I can even just walk along the beach or go to the Royal National Park and walk along and listen to the sermon being God's creation. They are more efficient. But if God has made us to be incarnate communal people, disciples of Jesus, then therefore efficiency is actually going to fight against what is actually genuinely beneficial for us. So what you're noticing when you actually come to church and you sit down for an hour with someone and you get to know them really well, it was not efficient, but it was more fueling and more satisfying because it was more in line with who God has created you to be.
Yeah.
And so that's why it feels better, even though it hasn't matched. And this is the disconnect between our cultural values and I think Christian values.
Yes. Yep. I think you're right. Because to illustrate that again, the discussion around OpenAI, which is the maker of ChatGPT, is really fascinating. I listened to a podcast with Scott Galloway, who's a guy who made money in finance, and he's got his co-host Ed Elson, similar thing. But they're basically saying AI is what's holding the stock market together and also holding the US economy together, because the US government has invested a lot in AI. However, they highlight a number of red flags signaling an issue with OpenAI, possible financial implosion.
Right.
And mainly it's based off an earnings call that they had with Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI. Basically that they're currently generating $13 billion in annual recurring revenue, right? Yet they have committed to spending over $1 trillion in the next next several years, and that's going to increase from 1.4 to 1.5 trillion. So they're really not making much money back. And this is the thing that's happened in tech too, is a tech bubble. I feel like there's an idea of an AI bubble that everyone's excited about it and everyone's invested in it. And however, now we've got an issue is that how do we make money? So if you've seen Sam Altman talk recently, he's not thrown out the idea of getting into porn, for example.
Right.
There's not, they've already created a social media network where you just create AI generated images.
Right.
So they're throwing things at the wall and seeing if anything sticks because they need to find out how to make money. The other thing is that they have...
It's hard to spend $1 trillion when you're only getting 13
Right.
billion.
As you would well know, Tim.
As I well know, it's very hard to spell $1 trillion. I find it incredibly difficult, and mostly because I don't have $1 trillion to spend. That is holding me back.
But you may have seen recently that one of the reasons NVIDIA, the chip maker, went crazy in the last few years. Is because they went big on making AI chips.
Yeah, yeah. And their stock market flew through the roof.
Yeah, there's this whole thing, if only I'd invested in NVIDIA, whatever. But there are server farms full of NVIDIA chips who are not being used because they don't have a purpose for it with AI. And we've talked about this before, like Cal Newport's talked about, like it is, right now we're currently at peak AI, consumer AI. There'll be another technological advancement, but right now the jumps forward aren't what everyone's expecting it to be. So I think that illustrates the cultural idea, is that you can go more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
However, there's going to be an implosion of some kind. And that's where I think we need to be careful. And I think this is obviously where you're leading us, is what does the Bible say? And how do we bring biblical wisdom to something that's happening in the culture that we, unless you've got your $1 trillion, can't really control. But also it's something that we need to be aware of. Like our younger people are growing up. Like the Google, you use the term search it up, which I think is funny. This has come from my children I just said, let's just search it. But they saw it, search it up. Apparently that's what they've learned.
Search it up, okay.
You actually said it before.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. But they say search it up. But they go to Google and they search it, but the top result is AI. Yep. And they focus on that AI result rather than rather than even though Google search rankings are not very accurate anymore based on how much money people are paying for it.
Yeah.
They're not even looking at those little sources. They'll just go to the AI. And that's helpful when you want a quick answer. But I think that, again, is the illustration of me reading the book over getting the snippets on Twitter.
So again, it's a 2D, 3D thing. So
yeah, you've got to do the work.
Yeah, if it's something that the work doesn't matter.
Yep.
Then
I need a quick answer.
Just need a quick answer. But if it's something where the work matters, then you are not going to get good results.
Yeah.
And I mean that holistically, as in like you are not being formed properly. We are not being formed in community. What you produce will be less than it could be. Yeah.
And I sound like an old man yelling at clouds, but I do fear sometimes is that, I think it's a thing as I've got older. So I used to read a lot when I was primary school, high school. I stopped reading because I got an iPad and I'm like, everything will be on this. And then I've gone back to physical books, for example, because there's just something embodied about it. There's plenty of research that talks about reading paper and writing on paper actually has more benefits than we realize, whether it's actually processing thoughts or maintaining and retaining thoughts and ideas in our head.
Yes.
And that's where you're going with the embodiment thing. But how do we, as Christians, confront it culturally? Is this your takeaway, do you think, or you want to leave your takeaway to...
Yeah, no, this will kind of be the takeaway. I haven't really thought through something witty yet. But and this comes back to an article we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, Carmen Imes' comment about the church and the importance of the church, but that the church can actually be a refuge from these things.
I see. From the cultural, like almost the aggression of culture saying you need to be this. Yeah.
And if it is true, and I believe that it is, that God has made us to be physical, incarnate beings, that God has honoured that by incarnating his own son, Jesus, who is now in some way, very real way, in his resurrection body right now. There is an honouring of our embodiment, and that physicality matters, and we can express that as a church. And therefore the church can be a place of deep embodiment and deep community and deep incarnation with each other, which will actually be the most faith formative thing that we can do and the most humanly formative thing that we can do, particularly when we have a culture that is oppressing this digital world amongst us and pushing us towards endless efficiency and productivity all through a mediated screen. The slowing down with an incarnate community is a key part of making us more human and a key part of making us more like Christ.
Which is like it's what we need to do.
That's the goal.
That is the goal, right?
Yeah.
All right, give me the takeaway.
Oh, I thought that was it.
Oh,
I used all my best material.
You always do such a good job of getting the. What
Go
about
to church.
this? Put in the comments. Let's do it together. Tim and Joel's takeaway. Put in the comments about what thing you might do this week to do something that's more embodied, more incarnate.
Yes, that is good. And
what's yours going to be?
Mine's going to be take this video, throw it into Claude, tell it to summarise what Tim said, and put that in the comments below.
Oh, so you're asking people to do that?
You're welcome to.
Wow, that would be interesting.
I've got no idea.
The thing is, because I do that.
Oh, you do that? Yeah, there you go.
To a degree.
Okay, really clear takeaway. Find a moment of boredom.
Yeah, don't look at your phone.
Yeah, so find some way to be incarnate in the real physical world without distraction.
Sit on the train without looking at your phone.
Yeah.
Stand in the line. I was going to say at the bank, but no one lines up at the bank anymore, do
they? Thank you, Mr. Banks.
Sitting in the doctor's surgery waiting to go in. Don't get your phone out.
Yes. Or even just the lift down to the ground floor of your apartment block.
Can I just say on this, do you know how much I miss magazines?
Right. In the doctor's surgery?
No, I was thinking that there are magazines in the doctor's surgery. There's always National Geographics in a doctor's surgery for some reason.
Yeah.
But
from 1980.
I don't know if
there's nothing past 1980, but it's really good.
Okay. But
Reader's Digest.
You know what? I used to read Time magazine at the dentist, I remember.
Right, yeah, okay.
You know, and apparently that's not as good as it used to be. But the idea of a long form piece of writing, but it's not a novel, it's not a book. I miss reading that.
Okay. Well, you need to buy some magazine subscriptions.
Yeah, I
so you
used,
read them
I
digitally.
used to read motorsport magazines a lot.
Right. You can borrow them from the library.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, borrow some magazines from the library.
That's a good
There you
idea.
go. There's a takeaway. Borrow a magazine from the library.
Yep. Well, this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you,
A
Joel.
lot of fun with you. Always appreciate your thoughts. And it wasn't just AI. I was worried we were just going to talk about AI, but it was more of that. It was more than that, wasn't it?
Well, and again, sorry, I should stop talking. Yes.
Save it for the next episode.
Save it for the next episode.
But thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you to everyone listening and watching. You've been listening to the Shock Absorb podcast, where we like to talk about the intersection of culture and church and how we can do church better. You can email me if you want to have anything brought onto the show, joel@shockabsorber.com.au, and we'll definitely discuss it. If not, chuck your YouTube comment down there. It really helps us in the algorithm. Or give us a rating, like and subscribe. And with that, we're going to finish this episode with a one-way.
One way.
One way.